Ladies and gentlemen, if I may ask you to take your seat. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me say hello again and welcome on the second part of our day one conference, as we said, the birthday party of Biennial conference of EURAXESS, the conference of 2024. We are celebrating the 20th anniversary of EURAXESS. And actually, it's very good that you keep talking and you keep exchanging your ideas because that's the main point and that's the main aim of this meeting. To have people from the whole Europe and actually from all around the world and meet here in Katowice, the European City of Science for 2024, and to talk and to exchange your points of view. Hello, how are you doing? I hope you are doing fine. Are you? A bit? We are preparing ourselves for the dinner, and I would like to say hello to all the viewers, to all the people who are watching us online. We are both in this beautiful building, well, actually a couple of buildings, as you could see it, of the Salesian Museum, and online, thanks to the European Commission. Dear guests, today we are talking a lot about the future of EURAXESS and also about the past of EURAXESS. And what is very, very important about this network is that this is a network, this is a family, this is a community. You witnessed the situations in which people on this stage, speaking on this stage, said thank you to their crews, to their teams, to all the people who are creating and cooperating in creation of this EURAXESS network. And in a couple of minutes, this place, you will be able to see in this place, on this scene, a very important lady. If you have any questions about the 20 years of EURAXESS, she will probably know the answer to every question. I'm sure she will. Because she's so dedicated to this network, she spent quite a long time of her life working in the European Commission, more specifically, of course, in the Directorate General dealing with research and innovation. She was a policy officer responsible for EURAXESS, and actually it's a great fun and pleasure and an honor to have her here in Katowice on this conference, because actually we couldn't imagine the birthday party and the 20th anniversary of EURAXESS without Kitty. I would like to welcome on stage Kitty Feringer. Thank you for being with us today.
Guys, this is too much. Voilà. It's difficult to start now because you have seen it all on the video. So how can I tell you how it started when you know it all? Or at least some of you know it. How many newcomers? Come on, hands up. This is not a quiet network. Woo! Yeah, how many would say that they are kind of experienced EURAXESS people? Yeah, some of you. And then there are the oldies. Who are the oldies? Yeah. And what is true is, I guess we are family, and this makes the network so specific and so unique. But let's say, how did it start? With a white slide? Yeah. At the end of the day, it started with an impact assessment. You remember in this video, you could see there were different initiatives. One of them was called Era More, and this was the network as such. But with this word, we always had a bit of issues. The French community can now try to pronounce it in proper French. What do you get? Le rat mort. I have heard that for the Estonians, a Moor is a kind of a witch. So when they came together, it was the meeting of the old witches. So the name was quite rather difficult to use. Why is it so? Because we are multilingual and we have a different connotation of meanings. So in this impact assessment that we did on the portal, which had this endless name, which I could hardly pronounce, and the EURAXESS network, we found out that these initiatives are known, good, fair enough, but not sufficiently among the researchers community. And we said, okay, this is the moment to say full stop. We rethink it all. And what came out of it was a full rebranding and restructuring. What we did at the time, together with all of you, at least with the oldies, and then with those who are more experienced, the newcomers, they entered in a different stage. We said, it is one thing that people need to know about mobility and about kind of the career development. So let's bring it under one umbrella. And I know also among you, I know it, yeah? There was a lot of resistance, because it's always difficult to enter into a change, to go for something new, something completely different. And I remember you all, yeah, had different designs, different color coding, different everything. But for a researcher, it was impossible to understand that this is one initiative, one network, and that people are working here together to create something. So we came up with these job services, right, and links, and everything got a distinct color, so that even when people had a look at it with the color, they could say, okay, now we are on the jobs part, this is the services part, and so on and so forth. At the time, my boss, my former boss, Stefan, some of you may remember, he asked me in one of these talks, what is your objective, what is your aim for the EURAXESS network? And I told him, listen, my final goal would be that it's no longer needed, that we do have a free movement of researchers without any hurdles, without any problems, that they can simply move wherever they want to go. But I said, okay, during my lifespan, this will probably not happen, so let's work on the network to make it really great, and let's bring in as many countries as we can, so that the global researcher find an attractive place in Europe. What we did is we started to grow the network, the links. We brought in all the Balkan countries, one after the other. We started to expand even more. Everyone got this initial funding, which helped to set up a network. But what was important for me is when I came to my first conference of this scale and kind, people were grouped in country tables. You know, you could really see, this was the German speakers, and there were the French speakers, and And I thought, okay, it cannot be like this. A network is dynamic, enthusiastic, and important when they mix and mingle. So over the years, what I tried to do is to mix those people and bring them together so that they can create those links that make a collaboration possible and better and easier. We then also started with the rights section. Rights was always difficult. You know, the charter and the code was a difficult topic as such. Nobody sort of had found it easy to implement charter and the code. But then over time, we were basically overwhelmed with application to get the HR for strategy, the Human Resources Strategy for Researchers logo. So even there, we had to work a lot to make it happen. What we did then was to create this one portal. So the difference to many other initiatives is that from the very early days on, we were there both physical in the centers to welcome people, but also digitally. So people could go on the portal and find a first-hand information also during night times or when it's China and China is morning. So this was kind of a very strong push for it. And it helped a lot to make the whole thing kind of grow. What we also did, and sometimes I think in these few years where I had the honor to work on the project, we did quite a lot, isn't it? When I looked at the video, I said, yeah, we did the roadshow. Yes, we had Gagan Quinn, we let her appear in a hologram at one conference. Ooh, it was difficult. We had so many things, that have been done. So what we also did is, and this was also to strengthen collaboration among the network members, we funded the network once all these national funds were done, the setup funding for each country. We started to finance the top projects. And here the aim was not to grow a national network, but to enhance the collaboration between the countries, among the different service centers, among people. And it was amazing to see how the network started to grow, to flourish, to gain enthusiasm and everything, thanks to this collaboration mechanism. Then, what we also did, I always say what we also did is awful, but we did a lot, I told you. We started to set up the international dimension of EURAXESS. We called them at the time the EURAXESS links, because we considered it the link between a place outside Europe with the European side. And the idea is to sort of promote European research, our service culture, our welcoming culture among countries or researchers outside Europe to bring them into the European system. And here we always considered that the collaboration between what we called the linkies, those people working outside, with the service center is one of the central parts, because they can hand over the researcher to the European side, where they are then welcomed and taken care of. This network grew tremendously and showed, as you could also see in this video clip, incredible success. I mean, fantastic, the number of events that have been organized, everything. I was asked once, how many researchers brought this network to Europe? No clue. Because the decision to move from outside Europe to Europe is not taken during one event, but it could be the drop that forms the decision. And in this respect, it was always quite important. Then, what else did we do? We did a lot. But let's think about these factors of success. What did we do? I think what was very important was the political support inside the EC, the European Commission, which we gained over time. In the beginning. When you cannot deliver results, it's never easy. You know it from your national parts, for your national sites. But over time, we gained reputation in what we did, and it became easier sort of to fulfill the expectations at national and European level. So this support was top important. And I think I'm happy that I can hear that this support continues also now and will continue in the future. I think what we had were clear goals and objectives. We wanted to become a movement, a European movement to support those researchers and their career development. And we worked really hard on it. And I remember we had bridgehead meetings, we were fighting, discussing everything, but at the end of the day, we went into the same direction. So hard work, persistence, not only from my side, also from your side. I think we were also a factor was the creativity. At national level, and let's say also at the European level, we wanted to be sort of known among the researchers community. We wanted to be in the heads and minds of these communities. So I think everyone did everything to make this happen in a very creative way. I think you saw in this video the buses which we had for the roadshow. I designed the first roadshow, believe it or not, I feel still ashamed. I put a map on the floor at the office and I started to draw with my finger a route that this bus could take. I mean, it's not very professional, I admit, but it worked out thanks to you. Networking, I think, was the best part of the whole network and still is. It is you, and the newcomers should have their ears open wide. This is where you learn, this is how you can kind of contribute also in the future. Learn from the others, talk, understand that there are now 43 countries, 43 different realities, and you have to cope with it, and a researcher has to cope with these. And I think at the end of the day, it was this enthusiasm that this, yes, we can, that made us kind of work together in a very dynamic and super trooper way. So we had these new initiatives. You can still see them on the new portal. I'm so happy they're still there. Most difficult was the science for refugees, I admit. And I think you all remember the days when this refugee crisis became kind of the topic that we had to deal with. To find them, to group them, to find a system, how we could reach out to those refugee researchers was really a difficult task. But what you have to see on the positive side is that our Director General at the time entrusted the network to work on it and handle it because he believed we can do it. And this is also a very positive sign which you should keep in mind. The Human Resources Strategy and the Resaver, you heard it all. These were the early days of these initiatives that are still growing and blooming. Oopsie, I should press this one. Yeah. All I can say at the end is the typical happy birthday to the family. Yeah. It was a pleasure to work with those who have been there in the early days and later on. I believe this network's work will not be over in a couple of years. I think, like it or not, you have to continue to be an active, dynamic super network that can deal with all the difficulties that a researcher career has inherent to it. But I think with the strengths of this networking initiative, you really can do it. Happy birthday.
Kitty, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Kitty Feringer, again, a round of applause. I can see the people who are watching us online who are also giving the round of applause for this part. And I should say, si on utilise la langue française, il faut qu'on dise joyeux anniversaire to EURAXESS. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this introduction to this part of the conference, to this part of this professional birthday party. This part is entitled The Evolution of EURAXESS, and this is the time for the first panel discussion. Before I will invite all the panelists to the stage and the moderator, I would like to give you, this is the list of the panelists, yes, and the moderator, but I would like to give you some information about Slido. Again, as I told you before, we would like to use your presence here and online to have some information from you, to exchange your points of view. So you can we show this? Are we going to show this Slido QR code? Yes. You can use this Slido QR code during the panel. As far as I know, we have some surprises from the moderator. She will ask you, I don't know whether she will ask you questions. Yeah, be prepared. She will ask you questions, and maybe you will be also able to ask questions during this discussion. We've planned it for about an hour. So this is the moment in which I would like to present the representatives of national, international offices of EURAXESS. We have together with us, we have today Anna Wiśniewska from EURAXESS Poland. Yes, that's the moment when you should go. Yes, that's the moment to talk and to speak. This is the moment, yep. We have with us Victoria Bodnarowa from EURAXESS Worldwide. Hello, Victoria. There's also George Defner from EURAXESS Germany. And we have Fernando Songoli from EURAXESS Ireland. Hello and welcome. Please take your seats. And this part of our conference will be held by a well-known podcaster. I came to Katowice yesterday from Warsaw, and usually when I travel by car, I try to listen not only to music, but also to podcasts. And I listened to a podcast which is called EURAXESS Smart Talks podcast. I don't know whether you know this podcast. She is a co-host of this podcast, and I learned a lot about Switzerland. Why is this country a good place for researchers? I've learned a lot about gender gap. I've learned a lot about the future of the careers of researchers, the future in academia, but also in other places. So let's give a round of applause to the moderator of this panel, the representative of EURAXESS Latvia, Daria Aksionova.
Thank you. Thank you very much for such a nice introduction. And in the end of the day, when we have a birthday, it's usually a cake. So I hope it will be nice, sweet, small session today together with you, my dear audience. So what I would like to start with, if I may, before I will present my dear speakers and colleagues that are presenting here, not only in the audience, but also on the scene with me, I would like to ask the audience the question, what are the strengths of EURAXESS? Because no evolution is possible without someone being strong enough to evolve. And so what I did before to prepare for the panel, I asked my dearest panelists to do their home task, to present themselves. What I would like to talk about more and more on the podcast, it's personal stories, actually. This is what makes us very personally connected. And so the first one is Anna Wiśniewska, is the initiator of the Polish EURAXESS network and has been its coordinator since 2004. At the same time, she was the NCP for Maria Skłodowska-Curie Actions and coordinated the Net for Mobility Plus project funded by Horizon 2020, aimed at facilitating transnational cooperation among NCPs for Maria Skłodowska-Curie Actions, and has participated in projects supporting EURAXESS activities. She was the deputy director of the National Contact Point for the EU research programs for the 6th and 7th framework programs of the EU. She was experienced as an evaluator of proposals submitted to the European Commission and the Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange, and as an expert in various working groups. Round of applause to Anna. Thank you very much for joining us. Victoria Badnarova is the regional coordinator for EURAXESS Latin America and Caribbean, based in Bogota, Colombia, as of 2022. Her main role is to inform the community of researchers of all scientific domains and nationalities based in Latin America and the Caribbean about the funding and career opportunities the European research area offers, European national or regional funding opportunities as well. So in case you're based somewhere there, you know your contact. Prior to her current position, she was the regional representative for EURAXESS North America and led the office for 7 years between 2008 and 2013. Victoria was a project manager and EURAXESS network coordinator at the Academy of Science of the Czech Republic. Born in Slovakia, Victoria holds a Master of Arts degree in International Relations and European Studies from the Metropolitan University in Prague. She was an international student herself in the UK, France, US, and Canada, and speaks 6 languages. So, round of applause to Victoria. You see how we are getting to know each other, so many things. Our next panelist is George Defner. Since 2022, he has worked in the EURAXESS team as a part of the German Federal Ministry of Education and Research, German Coordination Point for International Researcher Mobility at the German Aerospace Center's Project Management Agency in Bonn. As part of this role, he is the German EURAXESS portal administrator and coordinates the German national networks working groups like visa and health insurance. So, a round of applause to George. And Fernandes Ongoli is the EURAXESS Ireland officer, where he is involved in tasks such as providing practical information to researchers in Ireland. He also supports the processing of the Irish fast-track work permit, known as the hosting agreement. His journey with EURAXESS is unique, as he transitioned from being a user of the platform to becoming a staff member in Ireland. He's a Kenyan medical anthropologist who initially used the EURAXESS portal to secure his job in Ireland and moved there under the hosting agreement scheme as a researcher at University College Dublin, where he is completing his PhD alongside his work with EURAXESS. Good luck, Ongoli, and round of applause. And I know that this has been tough, and now I would like to ask you, my dear colleagues, to tell me about the strength of EURAXESS. What do you think about them?
You are looking at me,
Yes.
Daria? Okay,
Yes.
so I'm the first. So I really believe from the beginning, and I think that also it has been proved during the years that the main strength of the EURAXESS network are people. People dedicated to their job, people dedicated to support researchers, and we know that sometimes we have really very difficult cases, and sometimes it's really like heartbreaking stories, but we are really ready to help them. And also because I think that the members of the networks are really very responsible people in the sense of finding the solution for researchers, sometimes spending hours to find the relevant regulations. So really dedicated people, I mean all of you. And I'm really proud to be part of the network.
Thank you. And George, what would you say about the strength? It is working, yeah.
Perfect. Definitely the people. There are 43 different countries working together to find solutions for various things. So just as was said, it's a massive positive aspect for EURAXESS generally. And within national levels, there are various networks that also work together to find solutions. And I think the cooperation between everyone involved in EURAXESS, whether the researchers or the service centers or the bridgehead organizations, is really one of the massive strengths of this network, because everyone works together to help researchers actually get to their destination, move to their next destination, and find their way through a very challenging, sometimes challenging, forest of bureaucracy and confusion. And I think that's really the strength of the network.
Thank you. Victoria?
So I think the audience already said it all with all the keywords that we can see on the screen. Well, out of 20 years, I have been with EURAXESS for 16. So as we, within ourselves, we like to call each other the dinosaurs of the network. No, she doesn't. Not anymore. So the more experienced members. Of course, I agree that the people are the core of this initiative, and I would add probably the personalized assistance. You know, that of course the people that we are, but it's a network that actually helps these researchers, leading them by hand. You know, like when they came to our office, it was, you know, listening to stories, and it wasn't just like one out of the million. It was a case-by-case experience, a case-by-case treatment towards researchers, their family members. So I think that that's extremely important. Apart from the portal and all the different tools that we have right now, also, what Kitty mentioned, I think she talked about all the strength as well, the connection between EURAXESS Europe and EURAXESS Worldwide. You know, this is something that no other European project has. You know, we are really unique in having a strong network in Europe and having a strong network outside of Europe, where we have representation and we are really working together. You know, that's very, very unique. And I really liked someone said here, if I can read it correctly, inherent motivation to support. I don't know who was that, but I really like that.
Please, can you project also the results so everyone sees, not only Victoria commenting on that, yeah, so everyone can see the results of and voices of our audience. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. And Angeli?
Okay, can you hear me? Yes. So if EURAXESS was a person, I would say I've known EURAXESS for 6 years, but I'm a newbie at work because I've worked for EURAXESS Ireland for only a year and a half. But knowing EURAXESS for 6 years is from 2018 when, I was working at the Kenya Medical Research Institute, and I was looking for a new job as a medical anthropologist. I thought I'd done enough, in my country, and I wanted to expand, So there's theory and there's practice. So for me, sometimes, when you're moving countries, whatever is written in all these websites versus what is now the reality on the ground, these are two different things. So in my country, you say things as they are on the ground. So EURAXESS, the biggest strength of EURAXESS that I've come to realize that out of experience as a user and also a staff member is the practicality, like in terms of connecting you with the realities on the ground. When you get that job, I remember when I got my first job at the University College Dublin in 2019, I was wondering, am I going to live with this pay in Dublin? Like, where can I live? How can I survive? And all that. So, of course, you get all sorts of information on the website. But now there's Magda there, EURAXESS Ireland. There's a human being that you can actually connect with, and they tell you, look, these are the places where you can live. This is what you do. These are the documents you need. And when you come, you have any question, ask me, not a bot, a human being actually responding. So the practicalities that actually link the practice and tries to demystify the miscommunication that comes with the theory that is written on the website and all these portals that do not communicate in the language that most of us really don't understand. Even the question that you have asked me, the first, I had to process in my language before, So it is the same thing when you're reading information on the website and all that. So the practicality of it is the most biggest strength of EURAXESS.
Thank you. I think most of the people can relate to everything what was said and, of course, to everything what was stated here. But returning to the dinosaurs, they are extinct. They are not the matter of this discussion. I would say we are really, this is evolution. We're Homo sapiens sapiens now, at least, if I'm not mistaken. So what would you say, dear ladies who are experienced with EURAXESS, how this network was initially thought of and what it occurred to be right now, what we see? What would be your evaluation of it, assessment? So, Anna.
Okay. I believe that everyone has her own starting point with EURAXESS. So I will tell about mine. It was 2002, let's say in the middle, maybe the end of this year. I was in Estonia at the conference about the international cooperation and mobility of researchers. That time I was Marie Curie Action Program MCP. So that was the reason that, in fact, I took part in this conference. And then, sometimes it happened. During the coffee break, I had a short talk with a colleague, Christine Graf from Estonia. And we were talking about just our normal Marie Curie stuff. And then suddenly she asked me, do you know about this initiative? I mean, come on, what you are talking about? And she explained me a little bit, but okay, it was beginning, so maybe I didn't receive a lot of details, but in fact, I was so inspired by this short talk. The coffee break is 5 minutes you have just to exchange your views. So I was so inspired, I was so enthusiastic about that. So coming back home, I started my job, meaning go to the ministry, talk to the people. Even I was able to talk with the vice minister. After, it was few weeks later, we got decision from the ministry about setting up of the network. So using this experience, and of course it really changed also my life and life a lot of people around me. But this is, a kind of my advice and an example to researchers, the young researchers, when I'm talking with them about the career. Please use always these coffee breaks. Start, talk. You never know what can happen, what kind of information you will be able to grab and use, and maybe, this is the beginning of your new life. And in fact, it happened to me. I think that, the Kitty described, taught us about different things related also to the beginning of this network. But I would like to really come back to the beginning. Why? Because it was a really very special time. And the situation in different countries were really different. But what was quite popular in Europe that time, it was the Marie Curie Action Network. And in fact, in many countries, including Poland, the network, the MSCA now, because now I have this Maria Skłodowska-Curie Action, but it was not the name that time. So we were the people who were invited to step in and to start to build the network, and not because of just of our existence, of our that the people know us, because the role of the MCPs is not only that time. It was not only to help researchers to write the proposals, but also our role and our responsibility quite often was to help these researchers to come to our countries, to solve their problems with visa, with legalization, with work permit, all these kind of things with the issues which we had started as the EURAXESS at the beginning. So apart from the MSCA, MCPs, of course, also many other countries and the other, let's say, institutions, centers, because, as I said, the situation was different in different countries, also enjoyed the network. So together with these two networks, two networks, let's say MSCA and ERA-More, that time really start to work together. We really joined forces, and we really exhibited our knowledge together. That was the beginning.
Great. So then initially it was actually the target to join forces and help researchers in their mobility.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All these kind of, just to help them who are coming to Europe.
Victoria? And you experienced it from different geographical points, I would say, even.
Exactly. I'm actually, I believe, the only EURAXESS member who has done the European and the international part, because I've been 5 years with the EURAXESS Czech Republic network, building it up from scratch. And then in 2013, I became the regional coordinator for North America, and as of 2020, of Latin America and the Caribbean. So yeah, it's been a circle so far. In 16 years, I have done 8 biannual conferences, because of course, every other year. And it's so good to see familiar faces here and new faces, because that's what the evolution is about, right? It's about learning and bringing new people on board as well. What has changed? I think starting with the size, of course, like starting from a number of countries at the 20 years ago to having 43 in the European EURAXESS network and 9 global hubs. I think that's a huge evolution. Also, basically the name that I think also was something that we had to get used to. I don't know if you've heard or if it happens to you, but in Latin America, well, I mean mainly in Spanish-speaking countries, the X is sometimes a little bit difficult to pronounce. And they always put the O into it. It's always EURAXESS, right? So it's not there, but they imagine it because they connect it with Europe, so it's the O is there. And then they look at the name, and there is the X, and in the Spanish speaking world, sometimes they say like che or se, they don't pronounce the X. So then it can be anything between EURAXESS to EURAXESS, and oftentimes, unfortunately, it's also Eurosex. And,
This
you are...
is the evolution, yeah.
Yes. And then I always jump in, I'm like, that's the service I'm not providing. And you see these vice rectors and directors of international offices having the paper and reading what they were told to read, and it's the first time they see the word because they're confident they will pronounce it well, and they go with the Eurosex, and I'm like, no. So, yeah, I think we have fun as well, within our meetings and different encounters. I believe that also from the global perspective, when we started with the first office in the US back in 2007, it was more a focus on linking European researchers abroad with the European research area, and really to let them know that they are a very important resource for the European community, the European continent. And in 2013, we changed the mandate, and then it got bigger when we included everyone, so not only the European researchers, but also everyone, all nationalities and all research fields. So I think that was also kind of the evolution from only the European to the international as well. So just a few remarks maybe about that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Victoria, for pointing out what EURAXESS is and what it is not. But I would like to ask also the audience, we've seen already the hands, but I would like to ask you whether you are a newcomer or somewhat experienced or experienced user of EURAXESS. So join us on Slido in a moment. I hope we could see the results also. But we can proceed actually about, and I would like to know your experience with the challenges. Because researchers is personal stories, but how many personal stories one person can convey, it is very difficult. And usually it is really complicated. Because we have different cases. I'm not even talking about science for refugees, where it is outstanding, but also very different cases of different researchers. And we are now talking also not only about geographical mobility, but intersectoral mobility already, about the career of researchers, different perspectives for them. So who would like to start? Thank you.
In the spirit of evolution, me, the Homo sapiens sapien, will start because I'm the newbie here. I think the biggest problem, the biggest challenge that we have had, and the biggest issue that we always handle in Ireland is about immigration. Because the first thing is that Ireland is a special case. Even just for me to come to this conference, it was, moving an elephant with a shoestring, So we had, Magda had to do it the same way that she always does to other researchers. You see, even for me as a staff of EURAXESS, just getting visa to come to Poland was, click, 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 click. 3 months, I can't get an appointment, you see. So the first thing is that you see most researchers in Ireland, they want to come to the Schengen for conferences, they are getting, let's say, short-term jobs in the Schengen, they are coming for placement and all that. There's a void of information, and in terms of, the visa restrictions that the Irish visa actually gives them in terms of mobility to this part of the continent, So for most of them, and yesterday I was actually speaking in a forum an online forum that I happened to moderate, And the consensus was, oh, if it is a conference in the Schengen, pass. So I don't want to spend 4 months of my life clicking for a 2-day conference. I better attend online or just, read my books. So that is number one. Then number two, just as you have said, is, every story is unique. And sometimes we are lucky to get the stories that are almost similar. So then it becomes so easy to fix, like, oh, somebody comes, oh, I need to bring my family, my spouse's visa is stuck, and I'm from Bangladesh, for instance. So then another case is from India. So you can actually relate and say, oh, same region, this is what we did, so you can replicate. But another problem comes up. This is a researcher who has actually been hired by, let's say, okay, he's a PhD student in the Netherlands, and his stipend is being paid by an Irish research organization, but the stipend is being paid from the Netherlands. So ideally, this person does not have a very defined immigration status in Ireland. So these unique circumstances come, and they are not so clear on the website and all that, and we have to try to push through the networks that we have created in Ireland, like with immigration and all that, to make sure that some special meal is actually prepared for this person also to have a share in the research agenda. So the biggest issue that we always face is just always, related to immigration and all that, and it's just because of the geographical disadvantage and the geopolitical disadvantage in terms of the visa policies and the immigration policies that Ireland is not part of. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I can totally relate, but the plus of the researcher job is you constantly getting into those situations where you need to dig deeper. I'm sorry that bureaucratical word brings up something more for you clicking, not only clicking, but also conveying this information, trying to manage all the visa stuff and so on. I have the case in Latvia when I'm calling to our migration office, they are saying, oh, EURAXESS with researchers. Yeah. We'll call you back. Yeah. So, yeah, I totally can relate. So, about the challenges, let's proceed. Maybe there are some more keywords.
I think immigration is a massive challenge. Bureaucracy generally is also quite a challenge, but I think every country has a different perspective on the challenges that are faced, which is why this meeting is, for example, a really good opportunity to exchange ideas of how people solved situations in one country that could potentially inspire solutions in other countries, because we still live in a very divided, the 43 different countries, 43 different systems. And I think the power of the EURAXESS network, both internationally and nationally, is being able to connect people with similar aspects, to kind of bring them together to discuss issues that have come up, to try and find solutions that could be applicable for researchers generally. For example, one of the working groups that I look after in Germany works on health insurance, and they were able to write a paper and submit it to our ministry via others and contribute to a change to a law allowing international researchers access to statutory health insurance if they don't have an employment contract, which is a massive benefit to researchers who have preconditions or who have families. And these are the things that EURAXESS can change over time and contribute to greater things. And I think one of the major challenges in EURAXESS is combining the situation, as Angoli already said, combining the day-to-day challenges with the geopolitical challenges that continually crop up, whether it's a war or whether it's COVID or whether it's Brexit. There are just sudden new elements that combine, that change the combinations between challenges and solutions. And the nice thing about EURAXESS is everyone is really just constructive and looks for a solution together. And that's, my contribution to that one.
Thank you for turning it into tips and tricks for everyone else. I would like to ask to show us the Slido that we Yeah, and we have 44% of newcomers, so probably it was useful for you to know a little bit. Anyone would like to contribute?
Well, yeah, I completely agree with the gentleman in terms of the consular issues and the visas, because we deal a lot with third country researchers. So I was also phoning consulates when I was the coordinator of the Czech network. Another thing that I was thinking about is basically the visibility of the network and of the initiative as such. And I think Kitty said it in her presentation that we wanted to get under the skin of the researchers. We wanted to be known and seen as a platform that is a one-stop shop that can help them with settling in a new country, with the visas, with opening a bank account, where can the children go to school. So basically, I think the struggle still continue. It's not like it has ended, but I think, at least from my experience and opinion, we have already quite a good reference, you know, across Europe and outside of Europe, especially outside Europe. In many cases, EURAXESS is seen as the reference for researchers' mobility and for giving information about funding opportunities, the Marie Sklodowska-Curie, the ERC, Horizon Europe, the framework program. Therefore, you know, it's very important that we keep the continuity and the good work. And another point would be probably, which I have experienced a lot, especially in Europe, the cultural aspect. You know, we deal with so many researchers from around the world, both from Europe and outside. And I think us that we work with them have to be navigating, you know, that space of different cultures, and we have to be very sensitive to many different issues that can come up. And I think we have been so good, you know, in trying to help these researchers and to be very welcoming. I remember a story when I was in the office in Prague. There was a researcher from India that was coming to Prague for the first time. And he asked me, of course, a lot of questions about the visas and the usual. And then he ended, he's like, "Ma'am, can I ask you one more question?" I'm like, "Sure." He says, "How does winter feel like?" So how do you answer that to someone who has never seen snow and all his life lived in temperatures 30 and above? So I tried to be funny and I said, open the fridge or the freezer, you know, try to put your hand in it. But of course, it's more than that. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience.
Thank you. But by the way, I wanted to add that you touched upon these challenges of being a researchers, and we would like to also ask the audience, what are the main challenges of being the researchers? What are were your expectations and what it is not? And Anna, would you like to add something?
You know, for me, it's difficult to talk on behalf of the researchers because I didn't have this privilege because of the different reasons. But in some way, I would try to answer to this question, but from the EURAXESS point of view, and also maybe answering or adding something to what the other colleagues said. The challenge for me personally is that I need to have so many hats, and I have to change these hats not every day, but sometimes every hour. So in the morning, I'm the career advisor because the researchers really need to answer about different things. In another hour, I'm a lawyer, trying, you know, to give the solution for the researchers. very specific case, so I really need to dig for different informations. And the next day, or the same day, I'm the fireman, because someone is calling and saying, Anna, this is the last day. You know, you have to help me, because if not, I will be kicked off the country. So what you are going to do? How you can help me? Okay, you can imagine what is, you know, the next story. So I need to call to someone, try to find the solutions. And then, you know, in the next few hours, okay, career advisor, lawyer, friend, because sometimes the situations are really crazy and the researchers are coming and even crying. That it's also happened. So then, you know, you are the psychologist, you are the mentor. I think that sometimes, you know, coming back home is like, come on, please, don't talk to me. And to be honest, my husband, you know, in such cases saying, you know, please have a walk and come back in the next 1 hour. I will be waiting for you with the dinner or with the glass of wine.
What a nice end of the evening. So let's see the answers of the audience. What are the main challenges? I see this word in blue. Do you see it? Bureaucracy? No, it's not so central right now. Cultural differences, definitely. Career development. Oh, sure. We have, by the way, a definite section under new webpage where you can find all the necessary information, at least if you are under this 44% of newcomers. So, what I would like to do right now, I would like to ask you, what if today we are celebrating 20 years of EURAXESS, what would be your good, hopefully, good words for saying happy birthday to EURAXESS and for the next 20 years, hopefully more. And also the same for the audience.
From my side, just 2 words, keep the same spirit, really. That's something which is unique, important, and very supportive, not only for researchers, but also for us as the members of the network.
Thank you. George?
I would say I really wish that Kitty's wish that all hurdles would disappear could actually happen, but instead I would like to wish EURAXESS that the network, the EURAXESS service centers, the EURAXESS family on all different levels continues to grow and continues to support, because the hurdles won't necessarily disappear, but together the network, as it grows, can better overcome the hurdles and more easily overcome the hurdles. And I would also wish that all the EURAXESS network, all the service centers, always remember that, just as Kitty also said, a small drop can make a huge difference. And every day, every single short speech, every day that you go home and you're just completely knackered. I used to work in a EURAXESS service center. There were days where I was just completely tired afterwards, just as Anna already said, and was done with the world. But those challenges that other people are facing, the slightly draining moments on occasion, really make a difference to someone else and really changes potentially the perspective of the country or Europe generally, or all 43 countries, as a place to stay, a place to feel home, and a place to research.
What I wish for EURAXESS worldwide, I will speak from that hat right now for the next 20 years. I would love to see more people in our offices. Right now, we are only 13 people in 9 global hubs, so it's a very small team dealing with hundreds of thousands of researchers, and really there is a huge potential for us being on the ground and helping make the European research area much more attractive, and helping to you as well to get to know the national schemes. I would like to see more of the European scientific diasporas work to be done both in and outside Europe. I think that would be wonderful. And last but not least, I would like us to collaborate even better, more, stronger, as we are a family. We have always been, although maybe the newcomers don't know that EURAXESS Worldwide exists, but we do, and we promote the EURAXESS services every single time we have a presentation about the funding opportunities. So I wish for even more and stronger collaboration.
I'll take this approach. Dear EURAXESS, you have seen the results. They are like almost more than 40%. The previous slide, more than 40% were actually newbies. Yeah. So that shows that actually there are more people coming into the network, and the network is going to grow. It has been 20 years of supporting people with practical information, giving opportunities for jobs and funding information. We are going into a new era of AI. There will be growth and evolving from the Homo sapien sapien into a different Homo sapien sapien AI. Remember, EURAXESS. Remember, EURAXESS is all about human and being human. Like even with AI, I will wish EURAXESS to continue giving personalized services rather than using bots to actually, give services, because, it's the human touch for everybody who has spoken in this panel and anybody who has ever experienced the services of EURAXESS. Maybe you've been behind, I've been a portal administrator, and I'm still a portal administrator in Ireland. When you're behind the portal, sometimes you feel like you're actually giving one of the best services. But even in the video, there's one thing we were talking about, a user-centric approach, a human-centric approach. So let's make sure that we just maintain the human, touch, even with it as the technology continues to evolve. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Let's put the slide with all these good words to EURAXESS in the end. I know that we are short of time already. Thank you for your patience. I wish you very productive next couple of days. I thank you very much for this vibrant discussion to my colleagues. I really appreciate it, and for me it is an honor to be here on the stage together with you. And thank you for this lively start of this discussion for Kitty Feringer and for all of you. And these applauses are all to you. And please use coffee breaks, and second, pronounce EURAXESS correctly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this inspiring panel discussion. Daria, Anna, Victoria, George, and Rongoli, thank you again, and a round of applause to all of them. Thank you. And please take your seats for a second. Yeah, if you want to stay on the stage, we can discuss it for the next hour if you want. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. I noted, I have some notes from this panel. For example, this forest of bureaucracy. It was quite a romantic way of, saying about bureaucracy, forest of bureaucracy. Be sure that this is not this forest, these plants they have nothing to do with bureaucracy, so this is something to change, of course. And I also note this human-centric approach. So I'm wishing you, after the day one, because we are almost finished with the day one of the conference, of this birthday party, I'm wishing you as much of this human-centric approach as possible. I would like to thank all the participants who are here with us in the Museum of Silesia, the Silesian Museum, and also watching us online. And for you, a very important information, tomorrow we start at 9, the plenary session, and the host will be, the master of ceremony will be Dalila Kovielo. She's preparing herself for tomorrow. She's already drinking coffee to wake up after the birthday party, of course. So I would like to say thank you to all of the people who are watching us online. Thank you and see you. But that's the point, speaking about our online connection. But I would like to give some information to all of you who are staying here with us in Katowice. So the dinner party, because we still have a birthday party, so we have a dinner and evening activities. We start at 7 o'clock. At the Porcelain Factory, please note the information about the buses, which will go from your hotels. You stay in Novotel and Marriott. Please be on time. This would be good for you to jump in the bus. It would be bad for you to not jump in the bus. And we will pick you at 6:30, and then you can see the hours of coming back from the Porcelain Factory to your hotel. The last bus is 11:30. Remember that, because if you don't get into this bus, you will have the whole night in Katowice in front of you. It's also a nice perspective, but you have to be prepared for that. So, thank you very much. I wish you a great event today. And you know, the fun fact at the end from me is that tomorrow, yes, the stage is, I will give the stage to Dalila, but I will come back on Wednesday. So see you on Wednesday. I'll be there for you in 2 days to get all your impressions after those impressive and inspiring 3 days or 2 days of meetings. Thank you and enjoy.